Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Speak Up MK. We're extremely excited about today's episode because we're going down a little bit of a different route, and here's why.
We are speaking to Aimee Vivien. She is originally from Milton Keynes and now she is a broadcaster on Capital FM. We've got her speaking about, obviously, Milton Keynes and how she got into that specific industry and how that might help you. So here we go. Here's Aimee.
Hey, it's Aimee Vivien. How are you doing?
Hey there, Aimee. It's great to have you on our show today. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're so busy, which sort of leads me into the first question. Sort of, what are you up to?
So I went back to London studios on Saturday, but really Monday for my first proper show. I've been broadcasting from home for the last 9 weeks, I think it is. So it's pretty crazy, like set up a voiceover booth and studio in my spare bedroom. And now back in proper studios. It's a bit manic trying to do everything, but it's good. We like the ambition.
How did that work when you were setting the studio up at home? Did you just have to wing it, or did they send you equipment? Or
it was a bit of both. Like they sent us a proper mic and they gave us a Mac and everything, but I had to get a duvet around 3 corners of the desk. And then I'd be poking my head in like a little what you call it? What's the animal that does that? There's an animal. That's what I know.
An animal with a very sore neck, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Every time I needed to speak, I was like, "Hello." It worked. It worked. We were really lucky that we were able to do it, and it kept me out of London and out of the studio because I needed to stay healthy and safe and everything. And then as the restrictions lifted a little bit, I was like, right, I can head back, and I'm driving in, and it's nice to be back in the studio. Nothing beats that little studio environment.
And quickly, just ask, how did it work with a producer?
So we have producers on FaceTime and then somebody in the studio. So it's like a 3-way chat going on constantly for the 3-hour show. So
what I'd like to do now is, that's a great intro to where you're at right now, but can we rewind a fair few years and just kind of, just mention, what you've done and how you've done it. So if we start with basically Milton Keynes. So you are originally from Milton Keynes and you still live in Milton Keynes?
I still live in Milton Keynes. I'm never leaving. Yeah. So basically, I've always lived in Milton Keynes. I went to uni. I didn't really know what I was going to do, so I did dance. And then in 3rd year, I had so much free time. I was like, what am I going to do? Too much free time. So I did student radio, and I was like, oh, this is quite cool, actually. And at that time, MKFM was just setting up. So once I started doing the student radio, and then I went back home for one of the holidays, I got in contact with MKFM and said, look, I'm doing student radio. I'd love to be involved. It was a really small community station then. They were like, yeah, great. Let's get you involved. And then it all started from there, really. I graduated, came home, still didn't really know what I was going to do. Started working for my dad's pat testing business in Milton Keynes. And then I used to volunteer at MKFM. That was 2012. I graduated in the July. And then I did Sundays on MKFM. Then I used to do drive time with this guy called Oliver Dean. And then he decided to do breakfast. And then I used to do drive time. So I used to volunteer and work with my dad in the day and then drive to do drive time. And they did that for 2 years. Until and I sent loads of demos out and stuff when I realized, this is actually what I want to do.
So let me just stop you there quickly. So at that point, you still so you've been volunteering for a while, obviously enjoying what you were doing, but you still kind of were a little bit on your pathway, what you wanted to do.
I was very much. I was very much of let's just see what happens kind of thing. And I was really lucky that I had a job. And I was going to go traveling, and I did it. And then I got this passion for presenting and doing radio. And I was like, this is really cool. Let's just see if something can happen with it. And MKFM was the best platform because you got to do it every day and go in and you could try different things out and get that audience interaction that you get from radio. And then just go, okay, well, this radio station is sort of similar. I'm going to send them a demo. And don't get me wrong, I sent loads of demos and didn't hear back. And I just got really lucky. Somebody saw a YouTube video of me working for MKFM doing a Milton Keynes theatre review. And I was like on the stage and stuff, like just chatting to some of the actors, I think. And they were from Capital, where they worked at Global. Got me in July 2015. And then we spent 4-5 months demoing, like consistently, like every 2 weeks going in. And I didn't do my first show on Capital till the November.
So
Wow.
I just want to point out, if possible, just to everyone that's watching, it's clear there's a big taboo around volunteering, because how long do you volunteer for before you have to stop giving up your time? But actually, this is a prime example. You went and volunteered in something that you had an interest in, but it wasn't really, you hadn't really learned so much at that point. And all of a sudden you found that little passion, and that volunteering role has taken you into, well, one extreme to another. Let's be honest. You've gone from a local radio station to a national broadcast in radio to the world. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy when you think about it. But for me, it's like, I always say this when students ask me now I can look back on it, is especially in this industry, there's no point going in it half-hearted. Like, if you want to do it, expect fallbacks, expect knockbacks, expect things never to go on the timeline that you want to do. You're not going to go on student radio or go on like a community radio station, click your fingers, and then overnight you're going to be Chris Moyles. That's not how it works. Like, you have to graft really hard. Like, and even like in the 5 years that I've now been at Capital, like the graft is still there. Like the graft never stops. Like, and I never knew where I was going to go, but I just loved doing it. So it wasn't like I'm hating doing this, but I've got to keep going kind of thing. There's no point doing something unless you enjoy it.
I always talk about expectation. Like, if you expect too much, I whenever I was doing music and things, I never expected a great outcome, because anything that did then happen, you appreciate a lot more. Is that kind of the same?
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to have that level of expectation versus reality. Like, just go on your path. And also, I think it's so easy nowadays as well to compare yourself and be like, oh, well, this person's on Instagram doing this, or I've seen this person and they've just got a job at this radio station, for example. But you can't, because everyone's different, and everyone, like, presenters are all different. We've all got our own personalities, and you have to find your own way and your own timeline to be able to like express that personality, I guess.
Absolutely. How does it work for you in terms of your career, in general? Because I know at BBC they have kind of a scheduled amount of time, and then at some point in the year they do a reshuffle, and some people are lucky enough to stay on in their particular roles, and some people are bumped forwards or backwards or sideways or whatever. Does it work the same in the global group? Like, how will it work for you? What's your pathway? How will you move forward now?
Yeah, at Global, it's just like as and when kind of thing. They might think you're ready, or if something changes, there's no like set times, and that is like presenter dependent. You just never know. So if I do the journey, I started in November 2015. I did 2 shows in the November, 2 shows in the December, then 2 shows in the January. And then it got all the way to like I think it was March. And I then they said, oh, do you want to do overnights when Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Now, overnights is 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. in the morning. So I was commuting from Milton Keynes, driving myself in every day. And I did that until the October. So that was October 2016, I think. Yeah, I just have to remember these dates. And then it just so happened that the guy, it was Toby Tarrant on Early Breakfast, and then he was moving across to one of our other stations, because Global is an umbrella. We've got Capital, Heart, Radio X, Capital Extra, Smooth, LBC, Classic, Gold. So Toby was moving, and that meant I could then slot in and they wanted me to do Early Breakfast. Early Breakfast is 4 a.m. till 6 a.m. And this is where it goes back to, you have to love what you do, because I used to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and leave my house at 2:30, drive down the M1, get into work, do my radio show, and come back, and I'd be back in Milton Keynes for about 7, half 7. And then I used to go to work with my dad every day as well, because otherwise I'd have to pay. But I loved it. It was the best thing ever. And then in December 2018, so like I took over in January 2019 doing afternoons. And that was just because they were switching things up, and they just decided that they wanted a new schedule. And happy days, I don't have to get up at 2 a.m. anymore. Woohoo!
Absolutely. That's amazing. So I suppose your journey will be different to Toby Tarrant's, and it will be different to Will Manning's, who I know you work really closely with. Everyone's got a different journey. Yeah. Would you say in the time that you've been broadcasting, has the industry changed even more? So, for example, we've got budding broadcasters that will be watching this. What would you say to them? Like, your journey seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, seems really smooth, long but smooth. So you've done your work experience / volunteering at MKFM here in Milton Keynes, and you've progressed. Some people might not be so lucky, so they might have, they might plateau at a point of MKFM. At what point would you say to people, actually, that's your hobby now, and you need to go and find a career? Or would you just say people crack on? How would you sort of mirror it now, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it goes back to, if you're doing this, you have to like doing it, love doing it. There's no point starting it and being like, I only want to do this because I want to be famous, or I just want to earn loads of money, because that, like, the expectation reality thing comes back into play. Like, if you're on MKFM and you're loving it and you want to get further but nothing's really happening, if you're still loving it, then that's amazing. And you might just go, actually, I'm getting to do something fun, I enjoy it, I get to go into a different environment, and that's it. You just have to, like, sort of manage that yourself and realize, like, you're never really too young or old. The thing I would say that I've noticed is, like, digitally, and things have changed, like Instagram, TikTok, all of that. Like, we're bringing that into our radio world now, where there's no, like, separation. We encompass everything. And so if you can do that as a broadcaster, happy days. Yeah.
I just wanted to add on to that as well, that kind of answering your question, Dom. I think if you are loving what you're doing, you won't ever say to yourself, it's probably time to stop. Because at the end of the day, you're enjoying it, and you're not doing it for, if you have got that expectation, of course you can have a goal, and you might say, I want to become a national radio presenter. But reality is, as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, I don't think you ever have to stop. But the difference is, I think, where people struggle is they can't always accept that you might have to work full time as well as do that. You can't just expect a full time living from something you want to do. And I think it's that balance that's the key.
Yeah, I think you're right. Exactly. Like I said, even though when I started at Capital, I was like, wow, I'm on this, like, national radio station. You have to make the sacrifices because you love doing it. And I was so unsocial. I couldn't see my friends. I couldn't, like the stupid things that you take for granted. Like, I was single for a long time because you can't go on dates. And you're like, oh, sorry, it's 8:00 now. It's past my bedtime, actually. Like, they're like, what? Like, it doesn't work.
Can I actually say on that note, though, and it's quite a key part because of lockdown and what's going on. When you're on the radio, of course, there's a producer but you're quite on your own, aren't you? Oh. How did you find that at first? Because you are really on your own, and then, like you say, you were working nights, so you may not have seen many people. How did you have to change your mentality and how you coped with like being with yourself?
Yeah, like, I always try and be really positive about everyone and everyone and everything. But, like, this is why I said, like, whenever everyone says to me, I want to do radio, I say, you have to love it. You can't get up at 2 a.m. in the morning for something that you hate. You just can't do it. It's not durable. You can't, that's never going to last. Like, I didn't see you're right. I didn't used to see people. I was living on my own in Milton Keynes. I just got a house, and then I was going to bed with my dogs at 8 p.m. every day, and then waking up at 2 a.m. And, like, I didn't really see anyone because there's no one in the studios at that time. You might see, like, the other presenters that are on air, like, in the other stations. But then you just make the most of, like, making sure that on the weekends that you do see, like, your friends and your family, and just communicate. If you're not seeing anybody, communication, like, ring them, text them, like, see if you can FaceTime. Like, I used to call my mum, like, every day, and she used to be driving into work as I was finishing my journey back into Milton Keynes. Yeah. So she would call me because she knew I'd be driving home. And that was, like, just, like, before I got home and I'd finished work for the morning, and I'd have, like, 20-minute chat with my mum every day. And that was so nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
That is important. So in regards to, let's finish this part here in terms of, I want to talk about education in Milton Keynes specifically, and it obviously mirrors other parts of the country, but we're in Milton Keynes, so we want to talk about that. Do you think the colleges, etc., in Milton Keynes, or just the education system, let's just go broader, could do more for, broadcasters, but in terms of creative industries, is there enough education out there and qualifications to be able to help people that want to get into the business? Or does it, in your opinion, does it make any difference whether, someone, comes out of college with a qualification in broadcasting? Well, does it matter?
Can I just add, on the flip side, if, for instance, we created courses where we put in students through, are there enough job roles to match the level of people that would probably apply for those kind of roles?
Yeah. Like, obviously, I'm not an expert on who's going to hire anybody, but what I would say, I think it's a bit of both. I think there could be more lessons and maybe courses just for education, just so you can see and get a feel for these things. And we've got a global academy. So that is a school that is specifically set up for children that want to go into like broadcasting, digital media, that kind of thing. So they have proper TV studios, radio studios, and they get to use them every day. However, that doesn't guarantee that they're going to get a job. Like, I did a degree in dance. I did nothing to do with radio, but I'm a radio presenter. There is no one set path. You could have a degree in marine biology, for example. Sorry, it's ASOS emailing me.
Important delivery.
Where was I? Oh, marine biology. Yeah, you could have like marine biology and still end up presenting on TV. I think it's hard because, in schools, you need your English, you need your maths, you need your science. We all know that. I think the hardest thing is in schools is being able to really like nurture each individual child's like a passion, I guess, and figure out what they like doing. Because if they like doing something, even if it is they want to go into like biology or economics and they're really good at maths, doesn't mean that is going to necessarily take them to sit in an office all day. But obviously the resources and that would be really, really hard. So I think it's a bit of both. I think there could be a course to get people into it, but I'm not necessarily sure that the qualification is what they need to get them a job, if that makes sense.
I also think that it's about nurturing, isn't it? That it all comes down to the teachers and the people doing these courses, because you may see something in someone that is completely different to what they're actually studying. And it's about them understanding as well. Just because you're learning to be, let's say, a mathematician, it doesn't mean your job will be maths, but it could be something that slightly relates to maths.
Yeah.
And it's getting out of your head. It's not a one-track road in life. Like, we all do things that completely go off. Like Dom and myself, we've always done things relating to the entertainment industry, but everything we do is completely different, but it all has that umbrella. And that's the important thing, I think.
Yeah, in no way think that everybody that works in Global or for Capital Radio has a degree in broadcast journalism. They don't. Like, we've all got all different degrees, and that's what's so amazing, because we've got people like, I think one of our producers has got a degree in history. Well, that's amazing, because she comes to and brings it in a completely different angle when she's thinking of ideas which you'd never even think of, compared to the other guy who's got a degree in drama, compared to the other guy who's got a degree in sports journalism or something. Like, we're all different, and that's the best thing. Like, the world wouldn't work if we were all the same.
That is very true. Very, very true, Aimee. Very true. So if we bring things back to right now, how do you think, we're hopefully coming out of a worldwide pandemic. Our lockdown restrictions have changed over, the past few weeks. But how do you think, this pandemic has affected your life? Has it taught you about yourself in any way? And will you take any of those things away from it?
Well, it's definitely taught me to be a bit more patient, which you have to be anyway. But like, living with two boys, it's been a little bit stressful at times. No, but you know what? I actually was saying this the other day. I know it's weird and I know it's been hard because we're not used to having everything taken away from us. But I have been so grateful that we've all been forced to stop. Now, I have been really lucky, and I am so grateful that I've been able to work throughout the whole thing. Like, don't get me wrong. But then I was working and there's nothing else going on. So you do have to stop. The only place I can go is in my garden. And it has given me the time to just sit back, reassess. And even now I'm thinking, right, what kind of things do I want to do? Like, in the next 6 months, in the next year, like, and actually have the time to sit and plan and talk to people and try and put these plans into actions and just get a bit of a path going. Because sometimes you get so caught up in life and you go to work, you come back, you're doing this, you're trying to see this friend. And then by the end of the week, you're like, oh my God, there's another week. We're back on Monday. And lockdown, I know like it's hard and like mentally, like sometimes you have your bad days. But for me, I'm just like, if you have a bad day, it's fine. Doesn't matter. Keep smiling. Get out if you feel a bit rubbish. Go for a walk, and then you instantly feel better. And just like smile about the things that we have to look forward to, because I think it actually makes you appreciate the really little things and how much we take those little things for granted.
Yeah, one of the things I would say is that the world's basically smashed a big reset button, and it's given everyone a chance to breathe. It's given nature a time to breathe. Everybody's talking about it. The sky seems cleaner, the water's cleaner.
Yeah.
Animals seem to be coming closer and closer to people when you're out and about. People are riding bikes. You see families out together, walking, playing. It just seems a bit like from when I remember being a child. Things have changed a lot even in that time, but just seeing a little bit more connection between people and humanity, which is, I think, has been really good. And like you say, if you can use it in the right way and you've got the mental strength to do it, it's about adapting to what is going on around us. And if you have adapted, I think that you could be on something good in the next 6 months, year, 2 years, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I agree.
Cool. So in regards to
we're laughing at you there, Tom.
Cool.
Cool. Yes, well, it is very cool. It is.
Because we just did 2 inspirational speeches and you went, cool. I have some more.
I don't have anything more inspirational to say, because you guys have inspired the internet. So well done. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Tom. Cool.
Our pleasure. That was very positive. Thank you very much. But clearly, there are negatives that have come out of this. You know, a lot of businesses are in ruin. You know, we're speaking to you from 3 separate places. I'm in my home, Jamie's in his home, and you're in your home. We can't necessarily meet up, be social, and do all of those things. So it's causing a lot of people some huge mental health issues, you know, that can't cope with that sort of environment. So do you think that actually, you know, that sort of thing will continue after this? Will people continue to, you know, live in solitude? Or do you think people will do the complete opposite? And, you know, you're saying clearer skies, clearer water, clearer this, but don't you think it will just completely reset after this? Or do you think people have learned a lesson?
I wouldn't like to speak for the whole human race, because let's face it, we all know there are some interesting people out there. But what I will say is that I hope that it changes people's opinions and the way they act. Just even if they change the one small thing permanently that they've been doing, whether that's like going for a bike ride with their family or, you know, going for a walk, the little things that are making such a big difference. I really hope that people start to do that. I'd like to think that a lot of like the people that I know, like my friends and stuff, have definitely, like, we've been using a local greengrocer, and he's amazing. We order it on a Friday and he comes on a Monday, and it's the best fruit and veg I've ever had. And there is no way I'm stopping that. And I'm like, well, I've learned that because I've always just gone to the big supermarkets for that. That's just a small thing. But now I'm going to constantly support my local community and him by doing that all the time, even like post lockdown. That's not going to change.
Amazing. And that's exactly the point. You know, we have to take, you know, the negatives and turn them into positives, right? That's human nature.
Exactly. And like, if I'm honest, like, I've been so like humbled by, like, on a Thursday night, you know, everyone goes out and claps, and I see all the pictures across the whole of Milton Keynes, and it's so nice. Like, we are so lucky that we do have quite like a big community feel in each of our little estates. Like, we've made friends. I take the little pug out on the street and she's learned how to howl, and the neighbours are banging the saucepans. And I know it sounds stupid, but it's such a nice feeling. And I think, we've got to do that, not just for our neighbours, but for the businesses to help each other and look after each other. So as a town and as a community, we all get through this.
I think there definitely has been a big emphasis on local business. I think you're right. I've done the same. I go to a farm shop now and get my fruit and veg, and I also go to a butcher's to get the meat. Before, I just go Tesco's. And I think there's a lot of people all over Facebook. You just see constantly every day people are ordering new things, not just food and veg and things like that as well. I think even coffees, people are saying, don't go to your big chains, go to a local coffee shop. Why don't we? Why are we paying double the price when we can go and support someone local? And it's made a massive difference. And hopefully, like you say, if everyone continues, yes, it's going to be a struggle, but I think business will be thriving in the future if we do start supporting those local high street kind of shops.
Yeah, shops, like all businesses, like you said, you're used to meeting people, being face to face, having events, like all those types of things, and you can't do that right now. But it's amazing that we get to do this via a screen and adapt it. My dad's pat testing business, unfortunately, like that had to change and adapt, but he's done that, and we are looking after everyone in Milton Keynes, like trying to make sure that everyone is safe, and we're still working, but we've just adapted. They've got all the safety gear and everything that they need to make it a safe working environment during this lockdown time. If you need your pat testing, Janus Safety Solutions. He'll kill me if I
don't. Brilliant. So we're saying basically adapt. We have to adapt as a human race. We have to adapt to what's thrown in front of us.
Yeah, and what I will say is, if you in any way think that in a month's time we're going to go bang back to how we were in January, February, even December, November, that's not going to happen. Like, and it's best to prepare yourself and your mind for it now, so it's not so much of the shock, because this isn't a short-term thing. This is going to be a long-term problem. So, but problems have solutions, and we can all do it. But like me working from home and adapting the radio to broadcast to the nation, that's just had to change, and you just do it because you have to.
It's all about expectation again. People have got to just be have a reality check in the whole situation.
If you want to survive, you're going to have to change the expectations and adapt and modify things. But sometimes change is good. Sometimes switching it up is good. Sometimes it's not good to live with your other half in lockdown when you've just moved in. Sometimes it works out really well. I'm happy.
So I don't know about you, Don, but I feel like we're coming to the tail end. I was going to ask you, Aimee,
absolutely,
I was just going to ask, if you had to give one piece of advice, whether it be about your job and the industry, but also regarding lockdown, what advice would you give to someone watching this right now at home at the state we're in through lockdown?
If you are in lockdown and you are really, really passionate about being a presenter, my number one tip that I say to everyone, and this is post-lockdown, pre-lockdown, everything, is be yourself. There is no point, if you're sat trying to practice, you're doing demos right now, trying to imitate me or Chris Moyles or Nick Grimshaw or Clara Amfer. Everyone is their own person, and only you can do you. So figure out what makes you you and do that, because that is what's going to get you the job. And also, the demo tapes, they're important because they get you the conversation, but that doesn't get you, the demos don't get you the job. They get you the conversation. And in that, it's about being real and being you and what personality you have. And in lockdown, if you've got a passion, whether it's presenting, whether it's doing something like you guys do, like chatting to people, whether it's baking, make it exciting, do it and love doing it, and just switch it up and post those things on Instagram and make your followers, even if you've only got 100 followers, be like, oh, I did this today and it made me happy. Never feel afraid of telling people that you are happy and you've had a really good day because you baked some cakes, Yeah. I made a planter stairs when I got home from work out of a pallet, and I was so happy. I sent it to everyone. I was like, look, it's the most pathetic thing. I'm 29 and I'm making plant pots, but I was just like, I've done this all on my own in lockdown, and I would never have done that before lockdown.
We are certainly learning new things. But Aimee, thank you so much for joining us today, talking to us and giving we couldn't have anticipated the amount of great advice that you'd give, all these young people that will be watching this. So thank you so much. And
keep smashing what you're doing, because it's been so good to see your career go from the very beginning to where you are now. And it's so, you see you on TV, we see you on the internet with all these huge stars from around the world. It's crazy, isn't it? Like it's probably crazy for you, but it's good for us to see as well.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy when I look back, but it's amazing too. And we're just going to keep on going on this little journey that we're on.
Wicked. So thank you so much, Aimee.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Thank you.
So that was Aimee Vivien, who's on Capital Radio, telling us about her story from how she began, how she is where she is now, and where she's hoping to go in the future, with some really, really good advice there. So we hope you took that on board.
Absolutely, Jay. And like we were just saying to Aimee off air when we came off, she's really inspiring. It's great to see how successful someone can be. One, from Milton Keynes, it's lovely to see that. But two, for anyone to be able to take their passion, and she is clearly passionate about broadcasting, and to make it into a career, that's not easy. Like, it's not an easy thing to do, to take your hobby or something that you really like doing and make it into a career path. That's not easy to do, man.
I think she just proves that, do what you love and love what you do, and something, opportunities will arise. Her intention when she first went into MKFM was, I don't think, to ever go onto a national radio station, because it was just something she enjoyed. But she found that spark and she made it happen. And she made it happen quite quickly. And it just proves you never know what is around the corner. And you should never give up on it if you truly love something. So I think that's a strong message to send out. And she has done so well. For people watching, go and have a look. Aimee Vivien, go and look, search her name into Google. You'll see all the huge stars from around the world that she talks to every day and she works with, and yet she's so humble. It's a job to Aimee now, but it's a job that she loves, and I think that's the key.
Absolutely, and that is the key. So we've loved that. We've loved talking to Aimee, and we're going to be back next week with another episode. If you want to get involved, please do get in contact. You can message us on our Facebook Messenger, or you can email us on the email below. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Take care. Bye.